When is everything happening? Are the trucks going out yet?
Fire engines are always ready to go out, Billy, at a moment's notice. But there's still a lot more preparation involved. Every day, firefighters first have to make sure all their tools and equipment are inspected. Some of that equipment's kept on ladder trucks. Take a look.
Hi, this part of the fire truck has a number of tools that saves a lot of lives. Up here we have what looks like a sled, but it's really called a Stokes. It looks like a sled, but we might use this, actually, if you're hurt in a fire, to bring you out of a building. That's only in a very rare case. Now in here, this is where we have a lot of other fun stuff. This is called the Jaws of Life. This is the generator. This is what we actually use to start up the Jaws of Life. Now this is a cutter, and as you'll see, this opens and closes, so we can cut open a car like it was a tin can. And this we use to split open the car, also in order to get you out if you're in there, if you're in danger.
Look, boys, the firefighters are checking their saws to make sure they're working properly. Sometimes at a fire, doors are locked, and the firefighters have to cut through hard metal to get inside. The saw can help them get to people in trouble quickly and save lives. The firefighters have to start their saws every day. Now the firefighters are testing their ladders. See how quick they are? The ladder can help them climb up to a window to help someone. This portable ladder is called an extension ladder. Watch how the men run to set it up. The ladder is made of fire-resistant metal. It has a pulley that raises a second inside section. Once they lock that in place, presto, up they go. It takes very little space on the truck, but when it's extended, this tool becomes a long, sturdy ladder.
Do they hook up the hoses to a fire hydrant?
No, we get the water from a fire hydrant, but then we put it in a special truck called an engine or a pumper. Let's talk with Don, the engine driver, about how the pumper works. We call him the chauffeur.
This is an engine pumper. What it does, it puts water on the fire. That's the job of this apparatus. When we pull up to a fire or any kind, we would hook up to a fire hydrant and get water inside the pumps through this here fitting right here, 4.5-inch inlet. We would then hook up our hoses to the outlets. These here gates, we pull them to let the water come out, to go through the hoses to the fire. The dials tell me how much water I'm getting from the pressure from the hydrant, how much pressure I'm putting out, and each individual hose line which I open up, we have lines connected to. Well, we have, on this here stretch, would be an 1 3/4 hose with 2.5-inch also on it if we get that far into it. This would be basically used for a smaller fire, 1-room, 2-room fire. That'll be one of those first line stretch. If it's a heavy volume of fire, they won't use that line. They'll only use that on a smaller fire. Otherwise, you use a 2.5-inch line, which you would get more water out of, which is the main thing. The more fire, the more water you want to put onto it. And you would hook it up to either gate. You'd have the right fitting onto it. This is hooked up for the 1 3/4 would go onto this one. Now here you see the smaller fitting there. So that would be for the smaller hose. This one's hooked up for a Siamese stretch to a large high-rise building. We would supply the Siamese outside in front of the building. You would say use a larger hose because you want more water going into that hose. So you use a 3.5-inch hose for that. And that would go onto that. Back here at the back of the rig is our hose bed. We have 1 3/4, 3.5-inch, and 2.5-inch hose. The 1 3/4, you would take your poles, pull it out, and go to the back of the rig and step back and wait for the other members of the team to pull off their lens that they may need for the fire. Then they would proceed to the fire building. Then the chauffeur and myself would break the line and hook it up to the side of the pumper and proceed to give them water as much as they need, hopefully. This here is what they call a roller. The members bring inside to the building a high-rise building, which I would hook up to the Siamese with the 3.5 inch hose. This is used on the interior of that building because they can't bring this hose up 40 or 50 stories. So inside a high-rise building, there's outlets on each floor for them to hook up this hose. They'll bring in approximately 3 lengths to hook up on each individual floor, whatever they may need at that floor.
The chauffeur also drives the truck. He's going to show us how to work all the controls.
My job is to drive this to the scene of a fire and put water on the fire with this apparatus. Now in getting there, I would have to first naturally start up the vehicle and proceed. We turn on all the lights, the emergency lights. They would all be going up on top and prepared to leave quarters. All the members would get on, we'd leave quarters with all the lights responding. In here we also have a public address system so that people know that we're coming or to get out of the way. We have an air horn, which makes a lot of noise. You've probably heard in the streets when you've seen fire engines go by. We have sirens that make many different types of noises. We have many lights that will flash on and off, so we are very colorful to coming down the block. Now, there is an officer who normally sits on my right-hand side. He would be in control of the whole operation going to the fire. He takes charge of the lights, the air horn, all that stuff. Because my main concern is driving there and getting there safely as quickly as possible.
You know, sometimes firefighters can spend hours just waiting around the firehouse. They're always ready to go, but they never quite know just exactly when somebody's going to call for help. It can be nice and quiet, and then suddenly, there's an emergency now. Somebody's calling for help, and the firefighters are jumping into action. Let's go. Whenever an alarm comes in, the firefighters have to respond. The faster they get there, the more chance that nothing gets out of control. Sometimes firefighters have to go into tall buildings to try and find the smoke before it turns into a big fire. Other times it's just a false alarm or a very small fire. But every time there's a call or an alarm, they still have to leave the firehouse, just in case it's an emergency. For some calls, the fire's already started, and the firefighters have to work very hard and fast to put it out. Stay back, boys. Fighting a fire is very dangerous work, and everyone has to keep behind the trucks to stay safe. Wow, look at those firemen put out that fire. See those hoses spraying water? Guys, one of the most important pieces of firefighting equipment is a ladder truck. It has a bucket that can spray water directly into a fire, and it can help save people that might be trapped inside a house or a building. And each ladder truck has a supervisor who makes sure everyone does their job. Lieutenant Kozlowski's in charge of this truck today.
I'm the officer on duty in the ladder company today, also known as the truck company. Most firehouses have two different kinds of apparatus. One of them is an engine. An engine is equipped with hoses, and it has its own pumps. The pumps pump the water to the hose, and the hose puts the fire out. Our ladder company is a little different from that. Basically, in a nutshell, is we would do everything else but that. We bring the tools to the fire operation. Some of the tools that we have on the truck you've already seen today. We have torches to cut things open. We have hand tools to break things if necessary. We have hooks to pull things down. We have a tool called the Jaws of Life, which is used to help rescue people from car accidents. And we have this big piece of machinery right here known as a tower ladder. In fire departments, there are basically two different types of ladders. There's an aerial ladder, which is basically one big long ladder, and there's a tower ladder, which we have on the end of ours, a thing called a bucket. The difference between an aerial ladder and the tower ladder, which we have, is the bucket can have people inside of it. We can use the bucket to put firefighters up where they're needed, or we could put the bucket up to get people if they need to be rescued and brought them down. One of the most versatile jobs that the tower ladder can do is, although we can't pump our own water, we need the engine to give us water, we can take this long ladder on top of the truck and extend it up to 75 feet high and use it for what we call an outside stream, like a large outside hose stream to put out fires from the outside. When we arrive at a scene, the first job of the officer, myself, and the firefighter assigned to drive, who's known as the chauffeur, our initial job is to position the apparatus. Once the apparatus itself is in position, the firefighter, who's the chauffeur, assisted by one other member of the firefighter, usually the man assigned to the outside vent position, they will come around and on all four corners of the truck, two in the front and two in the very back, there are four stabilizers called jacks. The jacks actually come down out of their supports, go down, and actually contact the ground and push the ladder up somewhat, push the whole apparatus up off the ground. There are also two large, what they call outriggers, which are positioned right there, a thing that looks like a big foot. And when a switch is engaged, a hydraulic switch, that stabilizer will come down and also contact the ground and pick the ladder up off the ground. And the reason why it has to be done is the whole truck literally has to be off the ground by, a few inches to stabilize the whole apparatus so that you can use the bucket at an elevated height.
Drop the line down.
The primary job of a ladder company is to save life. The primary job of the engine company is to put the fire out, and our primary function is to save life. So either by firefighters on foot going in the building, up the stairs, and going to where the person is and rescuing them that way, or by raising the ladder or the bucket, depending on the apparatus that's there, getting the ladder right to their position from the outside and removing them and bringing them down to safety. Hopefully they feel pretty good about us arriving because we can rescue them and get them to a position of safety.
I thought firefighters only put out fires. You mean they do other things too?
Sure. Firefighters can help people trapped in cars or anybody who needs emergency first aid. Sometimes there are accidents and firefighters are the first to arrive on the scene. Cities use their fire departments for many different jobs. Some of those tools we saw are used to help in emergencies that aren't fires. The lieutenant was just out on a call for a car accident. Let's talk to him about it.
Okay, in this instance, we got an alarm for a car accident at Park Avenue South and 26th Street. The additional information on this alarm, they said there was possible smoke with the accident. So right now, just from that information, we're thinking we could have a car fire, we could have people trapped in a car. They dispatched two companies to this. There's a truck and an engine. Both Ladder 7 and myself from an engine company 16, we responded to the accident. At the arrival on the scene, police department was already there. There was indeed a car accident, two cars involved. Minor injury to one person we found at the scene. It turned out there was no smoke in this instant. It was just coolant, antifreeze, so it was more or less overheating. There was no fuel leak at the scene, which is one of the things that we're going to be concerned about. If there's a fuel leak, even if there's no fire, we've got to be concerned about a fuel leak because you got a hot exhaust system at the time, and you could have a fire occurring at that point.
Look, firefighter Bob, there's Spot, the fire dog. What does he do around the firehouse?
Well, Spot's a Dalmatian. Many firehouses keep Dalmatians as pets, and each dog has a person who's specially responsible for his care and training. We call that person the dog's keeper.
Dogs.
Come on, Spot. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on, boy. Good boy, come on. Come on, just sit. Sit, doggy. Come on. Sit, sit. First you have to sit. Yes. Good dog. Good dog. That's your treat. Lay down, lay down, lay down. Lay down for another treat. Lay down for another treat.
It's so quiet. Did all the firefighters go home?
We firefighters have to stay here all